So what's good, y'all? We back with another video. I know y'all haven't heard my voice in a little minute. It's been about 5 days. And I decided I want to make a video, finally come back, because I'm in the mood now and I want to talk about some teams. And the first team I want to talk about in this video, first video back, is the Chicago Bulls. Because the Chicago Bulls have not been that impressive. They're coming off a loss where they lost to the Orlando Magic without Paolo Banchero at home. And now they're going to face Boston later on tonight. We'll see what happens there. But right now, the Chicago Bulls are 6-10. And last season, they were one of the more surprising teams in the league. DeMar DeRozan had a career year, you could say. Zach LaVine produced at a high level. All the guys they added, with the exception of maybe Nikola Vucevic, produced at a pretty high level. And even Vucevic wasn't that bad, but he had his flaws. And now we go into this season, and I told a lot of people the Chicago Bulls are one of those teams that I can see a downfall coming, especially with the Eastern Conference getting better, the Atlanta Hawks getting DeJounte Murray, the Cavs getting Donovan Mitchell, Boston being good for a full season instead of starting off slow. I saw it coming, and now it just looks like it's going to happen. This team looks like they're going to probably be a play-in team, I'm not going to lie to you, unless they make some major changes to some parts of this roster. Because right now, the Chicago Bulls, not good. They're just not good, They're not a really good basketball team. They're at best average. And you know how I feel about average teams. If you're an average team, especially with a roster built like the Chicago Bulls and the lack of draft picks that they have, you're in a tough spot. You basically have to be forced to compete to win now. But the problem is the Chicago Bulls don't have really the assets to push for a win now trade. So they're kind of stuck with this roster. And this roster is just not good enough, especially with Lonzo Ball being out. And ever since he's been out, this team just hasn't been the same. You can see with the record, you can see with the eye test. Team just isn't the same, especially on the defensive end and especially on the offensive end where they were pushing a little bit more, getting out in transition, getting those buckets like that. Because in the half court so far this season, really aren't that effective. They're 19th in points per game. Defensively, when you look at the numbers, they aren't that bad. But like I said, they aren't going to wow you defensively, especially in the paint with Nikola Vucevic, who can't protect the rim, and he isn't giving you, 23 and 10. He's giving you like 16 and almost 12, which isn't bad. Offensively, he isn't horrible. He's still pretty productive, but that defensive end matters. You can't really win with like a defensive or without a defensive big in that lineup, unless that big that you have is like a special talent. Like, for example, you got the Denver Nuggets. They're always competing. Nikola Jokic isn't like a great defender, but he is so special on the offensive end that he makes up for it. Nikola Vucevic just doesn't do that. He just can't do that. But he isn't the main reason why this team is bad, to be honest. It's really just the fact that Zach LaVine is also struggling. He has his games where he looks really good. Maybe it's him coming back from injury. I don't know. But he's only averaging about 21 points per game. He's averaging 20.7 to be exact. And yeah, it just really doesn't look the same compared to last season where he was averaging 25, 26 a night and DeRozan was averaging 28. If you're not going to get that, then this team really isn't going to do much. One thing I want to mention too is it must suck for Bulls fans that you got a top 4 pick finally back in 2020, finally jumped into the top 5. And then Patrick Williams is selected and really not worth a top 4 pick at all. Like, not even close. And that's no hate towards him. Maybe he can be a productive NBA role player, but the man does not have the makings of a top 4 pick. Averaging 9 points this season really ain't that much of a factor on the offensive end. Defensively, pretty solid, not that bad, but you need more from a number 4 overall pick than 9.2 points per game. It's just really unacceptable like that. And yeah, this team is just not that good. It's just plain and simple, When you look at this roster compared to the other rosters in the Eastern Conference, they aren't ready to compete for a title. And they're not even a top 5 team in the East. So what does that leave you with? It leaves you with mediocrity. And I say this about a lot of teams that are stuck in mediocrity. If you don't got the assets to get out of it, you're screwed. This is why people get on the Lakers, because the Lakers sold out for Anthony Davis and they got that ring, so credit to them. But besides that, after that season, really much hasn't happened for them. And you see the assets they have nothing. And the Bulls are not in the exact spot because they can make moves like maybe trade a DeMar DeRozan or a Zach LaVine. But I don't think they're ready to get to that point yet. I don't know if I would be ready to get to that point. I think I'd let the season ride out a little bit more and see what happens. But right now, this Bulls team isn't competing the way they'd probably hope to, especially with the season they had last year. It's just not acceptable. And besides that, when you look at the rest of this team, Alex Caruso's doing what he got to do. Ayo Dosunmu's not that bad either. Javonte Green had a pretty solid game against Orlando. You know, Goran Dragic has been a decent pickup for them. But, yeah, team just isn't ready to compete. I think I've said it like 4 times, but that's just the honest truth, you know? This team doesn't really have much to go for it, especially into the future. They don't have like a good young player that you can be like, all right, we can scrap the DeMar DeRozan plan if it doesn't work and go to this young guy that's going to help us get to that spot. They don't have that. And when you don't have that, it's going to be tough to compete in the now or in the future especially. So yeah, very interested to see what Chicago does later on this season. I don't really know what they're going to do. I think they'll just ride it out, to be honest, until we start seeing like major losses. If they start losing like crazy amount of games and next thing you know they're like 5-10 games below 500, then maybe we might see something. But I think they're just going to ride it out. They might even try to get some help, but I don't know what help they can get. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, especially the Bulls fans. Let me know what you guys think this team needs, because like I say, I'm an NBA fan. I try my best to watch every team, but I'm going to be real. I'm not out here watching the Chicago Bulls every night like you guys are. Caught a few games, probably like, say about 8 games I've watched, 9 games. Haven't been that impressive. And I want to see your perspective. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. This has been the Checkup where we talk hoops and hoops only. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.